What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another match preview show. We've been waiting for this one for 2 whole weeks. International break is a distant memory now. We can focus on Ange-Ball once again. And I, for one, are very much looking forward to this game. Obviously, we play Sheffield United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 3 p.m. kickoff tomorrow. And for all our Jewish viewers watching, would like to wish them a very happy New Year, Shana Tova. But and Manor Solomon as well, by the way. We're going to wish him one as well. So, look, how are you feeling coming into this game?
Look, one more sleep till Ange-Ball is back. I can't wait, to be honest, because for the international break, I've been watching the football and it's just not the same. It's not as exciting. Ange-Ball was so elite compared to like Southgate ball. Like honestly, I couldn't get away from that quicker, to be honest. So I'm very excited to see Tottenham back. Judging by what Ange is saying, it looks like we've come away unscathed as well. Pretty unscathed. In terms
Had a few scares, didn't we?
Had more than a few. So I think literally I've been like crossing everything I can find to make sure that we didn't get any injuries during the international break, and it seems to have worked.
You know, during that Argentina game, when those images came out of Romero's ankle being stamped on, I was literally just refreshing Flash Score just constantly. Just, has he been taken off? Has it been taken off? Maybe Flash Score is not up to date. Maybe I should check another. I was like going absolutely mad that night. But luckily, he's been in training. He's fit for the game. But there's actually some interesting comments from Ange in the press conference today regarding players like Alejo Veliz. He's saying he's ready for selection now. He's been training only one training. He's only trained with the team once, and he's already available for selection. It's quite surprising.
Well, I think he was recovering from an injury, and so so maybe when Ange said, you know, he's not going to be available for a little while before the international break, maybe he was. I think people assumed he meant, he's going to have to adjust to life in London and he's going to have to integrate into the team and stuff like that. But maybe he just meant, you know, he maybe wasn't clear. Maybe he just meant he got an injury.
But he literally said you won't see him for the first half of the season.
Was he that specific? I can't remember exactly.
He literally said it. Like, you won't see him for the first part of the season, but now he's saying he's available for selection. So it's very interesting.
Well, maybe he hadn't seen him yet because he had an injury as well. So, you know, he's assuming a 19-year-old kid coming from a foreign country who's injured as well at the moment. So he didn't want to put too much pressure on the situation. So I think which is fair. But now he's fit and available. He had a training session with the team. Maybe, I don't think it's a case. I don't think we'll see him starting anytime soon. But it'll be interesting to see if he makes the bench on Saturday.
You know what, though? What value he could have in this game specifically, because we know how Sheffield United are going to set up against us. Very low block. They're very hard to score against, as you've seen so far in their games, which we'll get into in a second. But they haven't lost by more than 1 goal. And they've played the champions in Man City as well, which is fairly impressive for a new team coming up. And you would think, like, if we are struggling for goals towards the end of the game, 15, 20 minutes to go, with his aerial ability to whip crosses into him, he could be quite valuable for us this weekend.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I think he'll probably be more of like a Hail Mary kind of last 10 minutes we need to go kind of thing. I still think Richarlison comes on before he does. But I agree with you with their low block, with how they like to clog up the central areas, especially against Man City. I was looking at average position and they had like about 8 players in and around the penalty area, and that's just in their average position. They had like 1 player who average position was in the City half throughout the game. So they're going to be very defensive. They're going to be very solid. It's going to be very hard to break down. And he's a big lad, Veliz, especially for a young player. So I think his aerial ability could definitely be something that we could use in this game if need be. But I think when it comes to this game, I think Man City saw that even if it's 1-0 going late into the game, they can be dangerous because they know they're probably going to go for it last 10 minutes if they're still in the game. So I think it's very important to try and get this game out of sight as quickly as possible.
Yeah, totally agree, which will be a very hard task to do, seeing as they don't really concede that many goals. If you look at the form table of the two clubs, obviously Spurs leading the way there, and Sheffield United picked up a draw last time out, but have lost every other game apart from that. They've conceded 7 goals in their last 5 games. I think that's including 1 pre-season game. How many have they conceded in the league, though? Because I know they've only lost by 1 goal in each of the games that they have lost.
7 goals in their first 4 games. So not terrible.
Okay, fine.
So 2 against Everton, 2 against City, 2 against Forest, and 1 against Palace.
Right. Have they lost every game or did they draw a game?
They drew their last game to Everton 2-2.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Spurs, looking at Spurs, I mean, we're just scoring with fun at the moment, scoring a lot of goals. Not many other managers have come in and scored 2 goals per game as a completely new job in the Premier League. But you got to commend the job that Ange Postecoglou's doing. You got player of the month, manager of the month off the back of that. Maddison's got player of the month as well. But don't take this for granted, because it's going to be a very difficult game, and I feel like we're going to struggle to break them down, to be honest. And you cast your mind back to the other game that we played against a low block. I think this game is going to be very much a different low block to the one that we played against Brentford, and I think this team is going to be probably sit even deeper than maybe what Brentford did. But how do you see us kind of being able to break this team down?
Yeah, I'm looking at Sheffield United's previous performances, and I was trying to piece together how kind of like their average positions, how they're going to set up. And it's definitely a 3-5-2 formation they like to play over the first 4 games. They like to play their wing-back system. Obviously, under Chris Wilder, they used to like to do that overlapping centre-backs, but I don't think they have that element really to their game at the moment. But they like to play 3 very hard-working defensive midfielders in the centre. And then against Everton, they had Archer and McBurney, which is the first time they had that pairing together up front, and big and little man. Bit of a throwback, that strike partnership. But I'm looking at the wide areas, and they definitely don't like to have too many players out wide. They definitely focus very heavily on the central area, making sure we can't play through them. And that's going to be very crucial if we're going to basically break them down. I think it's going to have to be isolating them out wide, because we know that Spurs are going to have the inverted fullbacks in this game to maintain control of the central area, and I think that's probably the best way to go about it, even though that Sheffield United might plan for that. I think we have to rely on our wingers having a lot of joy in their one-on-one duels out wide. And if we can do that, I think that's going to be our best route to getting close to the Sheffield United penalty area and creating chances. And we have to flood the penalty area when we get those opportunities. But they have, obviously, with the 3 centre-backs, they do as well have opportunities to help out their full-backs, their wing-backs, with their centre-backs coming over while still maintaining numbers in the centre. So it's not going to be a foregone conclusion, but it's going to be very, very difficult for us to break them down, because they got the numbers in the centre. Out wide, they're going to have, if we allow them the opportunity, if we don't move it quick enough, we're going to allow them opportunities to get the numbers out wide as well with their centre-back. So it's going to be about penning them in. It's going to be about winning our one-on-one duels out wide. And then it's going to be somehow Maddison picking up some sort of space in and around the penalty area, if possible. And maybe maybe Son and Maddison have to rely on their ability to shoot from range to maybe breaking the deadlock, because as long as the game is 1 goal in it, they're going to basically keep doing what they're doing up until maybe the last 10 minutes. Then they're going to maybe have a go if they're still in the game. But once the game goes maybe 2-0, that's maybe where we might see things change for them. They might start to open up. But their game plan is going to be clear. Stay in the game up until the last 10-15 minutes. Give it a go and see if we can nick a result. Yeah,
if we can get an early goal in this game in the first 10 minutes, it should give us the opportunities to open it up earlier than maybe anticipated from Sheffield United. I
think it's going to need 2 early goals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you get 1 early goal, then the possibility of another one before the half is, much more likely. So I think if we do get an early goal, it'll give us the opportunity to keep pressing and get that second goal before half time. And then hopefully in that second half, the floodgates can really open with Sheffield United opening up more and coming at us. But I think that it's going to be, like I keep saying, I think it's going to be a really difficult game. They're really a well-organised team, and they defend well. They really do. So you're looking at the last 5 games. Do you know the last time Sheffield United won in N17?
In N17, no.
No.
Well, should I know?
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Because the last time they won in N17 was in 1991. I hope I haven't given it the kiss of death here, but we do have a fairly good home record against these lot, albeit everyone's going to cast their mind back to last season when we went up there in the Cup under Antonio Conte. Well, Conte was ill at the time, wasn't he? And Stellini took the game.
Pochettino's last ever game was against Sheffield United.
That's true as well.
Going 1-1.
Yeah.
And Baldock scored in that game, and he's probably going going to play in this game.
Well, the omens ain't good then. The omens ain't good. But I mean, last year was just an absolutely tragic game up at Bramall Lane, to be honest. And it's always a difficult time going to Bramall Lane, but at least we are at Tottenham this time, and I do expect us to get the win, but I expect it to be a very hard-fought victory. You're looking at Sheffield United team coming into this. They have got a lot of injuries. They've picked up quite a few on international break. Osborne, Egan, Brewster, Fleck, Lowe, and Davies all injured. Jebson and Larouci are doubts for the game. So there's a lot of injury problems for Sheffield United coming into it. When you're looking, well, to be fair though, like when we played Sheffield United last year, didn't we lose to their second team?
Yeah, exactly. so it didn't really make too much difference.
But in terms of what they offer Sheffield United on the pitch, there's Cameron Archer, who is like the obvious worry. Apart from him, like, is there anyone else that really worries you in that team?
Apart from Archer, I mean, he's look. I was really impressed with his debut against Everton. He's quite a quick, nippy little striker who actually got 11 goals in 20 games last season in the Championship. So
for Middlesbrough,
they spent 18 million on him in the summer. So he's looking like a great threat. And obviously, the 2 goals he scored against Everton, super impressive as well. But one thing I noticed was, especially the second goal, a lot of it was like individual kind of play. McBurney laid on the first one for him, but it was actually still a very good finish. The second one, he had to do a lot of the work himself and a bit of luck because the ball bounced off Pickford on the way in. But he did really well. But if we can restrict Archer on the counter, I really don't see much when it comes to attacking threats from them. I think both their wing-backs are more defensive wing-backs than they are attacking. I think maybe if they come up against inferior teams, you'll see the likes of Baldock or Bogle or Luke Thomas get further forward. But in this game, I think they're very much going to be full-backs as opposed to wing-backs. So I do anticipate this being more of a back 5 than a 3-5-2. I see it more being a 5-3-2. So when it comes to their threats, I think set pieces, obviously, you just got to make sure you're not giving away any silly corners or any silly free kicks, giving them more encouragement. They're quite a physical team. But I think Archer's the main one. If you're not allowing Archer the possession on the counter-attack, I think we're going to be really stifling them. I'm seeing them not getting a lot of joy when it comes to having any sort of possession. I think our pressing game will make it very difficult for them to maintain possession. And I just think we've got to watch out for Archer because he's got pace. I don't think McBurney is a massive threat unless you allow them to swing kind of crosses into the box and leave him unchallenged. I think you can deal with McBurney, but I think Archer's a tricky customer. Yeah, Norwood's a decent midfielder, good passing range, but he's not a goal scoring threat. Sander Berge was a good player, but they've sold him. Obviously, they lost in Dye as well.
It's a weird one, wasn't it, that they sold him to like a rival coming up from the Championship. I didn't understand that whatsoever.
Must have been desperate for money.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of, because 20 million they sold him for, who was probably their best centre mid last season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he was linked to us at a point.
Good player, Sander Berge. He's not a goal scoring midfielder, but he's a good number 8, who's good kind of box to box midfielder, good technical player. So a bit of an odd one for them. They've sold him. So I don't really know too many of the players they've replaced him with. Souza or Hamer, I don't really know them too much.
Their goalkeeper's supposed to be fairly good. Fodringham. Yeah, he was playing for England under 21s this week.
Okay, so he's got an opportunity to against a good club. I was liking the look of Larouci as well, but he's looking like he's injured. So yeah, I think there's a reason why they're one of the big favourites to go down. And to be fair, to their start of the season, they have kept things tight and they've not been easy to play against. But the reality is they still lost 3 of the 4. Yeah. They haven't been getting the results. Even against Everton, they were quite lucky to be 2-1 up at half time. I felt, despite the fact Archer scored 2 good goals, I felt like they were Everton were very dominant in that first half. Second half, Everton totally got back in the game. And to be fair to Sheffield United, right in the last minute, Pickford made a world-class double save and Sheffield United could have won the game. But I think in terms of the balance of play over the 90 minutes, I think Everton will be the ones feeling more annoyed not taking 3 points. Yeah, especially as they've played teams that you probably expect are going to finish in the bottom half of the table in Palace, Nottingham Forest and Everton. And to only pick up 1 point is probably going to be a sense of frustration for them. But I mean, you can take kind of what they did in that Man City game and and probably assume that that's probably the way they're going to try and set up and try and stifle us in that sort of way. And Man City found it hard to break them down. Don't get me wrong, they found it hard, but they still got an XG of 3.6. You know, it's not like they didn't have chances, and they missed that penalty in the first half, which would have given them the lead. They then did take the lead in the second half, made it 1-0. They had chances to kill the game off, didn't take them, allowed Sheffield United back in the game, and still, even though Sheffield United equalised with 5 minutes to go, they still couldn't hold on. They still weren't good enough to hold on for 5 minutes against City. So they didn't look. Don't get me wrong. Super impressive that they took City all the way to the 90th minute. But City, like in another day, City would have won that 3-0. Like it wasn't a game where I'm looking at it super impressed with how Sheffield United nearly got the point. But it shows that they can make things difficult.
Yeah, and it also shows that you need to be clinical when you're coming up against these teams that sit in a low block as well. Because, you know, on another day as well, you say Man City could have won 3-4-1 against Sheffield United that day, but also they didn't take their chances, and on another day they could have just drawn 1-1.
They could have, but my point is, like, even at 1-1, they still want
I get that.
to hold on.
Yeah, I get
that. So that shows fallibility. They had 5 big chances on the day, Man City, so the chances were clearly good quality. And I think even if you look at the other games against Palace, in terms of XG we're looking at, they had 0.5 to Palace 1.89. Against Forest away, 1.39 Forest had, 0.5 Sheffield United. Against City, 0.67 to 3.6 Man City. And against Everton, they had 1.19, but they conceded 2.59. So they've been out XG'd in every game, basically. So haven't, like, as much as they've made things difficult, I don't think they've really deserved a result in any of the games, to be honest, on the balance of play.
Fair play. And by the way, I did make a bit of a mistake. The goalkeeper's 32 years old, so he wasn't playing for England under 21s.
There you go. So I wonder who you're talking about. I think you're talking about Trafford from Burnley.
No,
maybe.
I'm not, because I'm just trying to work out who I was talking about. It must have been Monday, 11th of September. The goalkeeper was Trafford. Yeah, that was the guy I was thinking about, the Burnley keeper, not the Sheffield United keeper. But look, so I guess that's the match preview. What score prediction are you going for?
I'm going to go for... I said 3-0 on my preview. I'm going to stick to it. I think we have the quality. We're confident. I'm really confident about Spurs being able to pen Sheffield United in as well. This is their first proper tough away game as well. Sheffield United against City, they were at home. Obviously, they got the crowd, they got the motivation from the crowd, and they nearly got themselves a result. But I think away from home, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to have that sort of performance. I think Tottenham being confident right now, I'm confident that we can create the good quality chances, we can finish them. The only big worry I have is, it's not, I guess, a big worry, but Son up front in this kind of game, I'm more intrigued how he's going to come up against it, because it's going to be a very different challenge to the Burnley game. I think Burnley played into his hands a lot more with their space they run in behind. They're going to press us and take risk, whereas Sheffield United is going to be very much, they're going to restrict us for space. They're going to make sure that Son doesn't have the space to run into. They're going to make sure that when he gets the ball, he's being hounded and he's not going to have ability to turn. So Son, I feel like, is going to have to come a lot deeper in this game and pick up the ball in deeper areas to get involved. Otherwise, I think he's not going to have that much involvement. So it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with this kind of game, and it's going to be a bit of a litmus test in terms of him against lower block teams, how he performs. So that's the one element I'm thinking. Like,
do you not think this game is a bit more suited to Richarlison as the number 9?
But I would stick with Son just because of the dynamic of the game. But of how they played last week. But I do think, in theory, it's more suited to Richarlison.
And I would say, as well, on the right-hand side, when you're looking at the options between Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski, I do think this game is much more suited to Kulusevski in the way he likes to work a bit more in the tight spaces, where Brennan Johnson likes to have that space a bit more. So I would stick with Kulusevski, to be honest, in this game.
Yeah, we'll get into the pre-line later, but I think I wouldn't change it. But Brennan Johnson didn't speak about that. Could be seeing a debut this weekend for Brendan, which is
2 debuts that we could be seeing this weekend.
What, him and Valise?
Yeah, I don't think Valise is going to start, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do need a goal in the latter stages of the game, he comes on.
If we're talking about who's going to be on the bench, we know Lo Celso's not there. So who do we rate? Like, if we're saying an unchanged team, who's going to be on the bench? You've got Forster, Emerson,
Phillips. Do you think Dyer makes an appearance on the bench? I don't know. Ben Davis,
Perisic, Johnson, Skip, Højbjerg. That's already too many. So I don't see where the...
How many are you allowed on the bench?
Is it 7 or is it more?
I'm not sure. I think it's more, isn't it?
7?
Isn't it? I thought it was 9.
Is it 9 now? 9.
Yeah.
All right, 9 allowed on the bench.
You got
9.
Richarlison as well.
So Richarlison, that's 9.
So wait,
yeah.
Forster, Davis, Phillips, Perisic, Skip,
Emerson,
Richarlison, Johnson, and Valise.
No, 1 minute. Was that 9?
That's 9, yeah.
Højbjerg, Skip, Richarlison,
Højbjerg I didn't
Johnson.
say. Højbjerg I didn't say.
Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg gets in ahead of him, so I don't know if he makes the squad.
Yeah, and all depends if what the situation with Richarlison is as well. We don't even know if he's going to be on the bench or not, but we assume that he will be.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the bench. No, I think he will. I don't think we leave him out of the squad unless he's not unavailable for selection. I'm pretty sure we'd put him in the squad.
But look, you're going 3-0.
3-0.
I'm also going to go 3-0 as well. I'm kind of toying between 2-0 and 3-0. I think it's going to be difficult to break these lot down. But I think once we get that first goal, I do think that we can take them to the sword a little bit and start, really stamping our authority. So I'm going to stick with 3-0.
I think remember it's our second home game of the season. We haven't played at home yet. I think the crowd hopefully show a big say in terms of being supporting the players, and I think we got to make this place a fortress. And I think if we can show the football we've been playing in the first few weeks, even against a low block, I know they're going to make it difficult, but we have the quality to open them up. We really do, and I think we will. I think we will in the home game.
There's a stat. I can't remember what the actual stat is, but it's like Ange hasn't lost a home game in God knows how long. I don't think he lost the home game for Celtic or something.
Yeah,
in his whole 2 years.
Yeah.
And then before that, with Yokohama, he went a year or a year and a half without losing a home game before that.
Yeah.
So he knows how to make a home place a fortress. That's for sure.
I think it'll make a difference. If it was away from home, I can see it being a bit more difficult. But I reckon being at home, we make it a comfortable victory.
All right, so there you have it. That is our match preview for the game against Sheffield United. I want to hear your score predictions in the comment section. We've got a members chat here from Rick in Rio, member for 13 months, and he says, thanks, guys. Stella, as always. Just booked my flight for the Liverpool game. Stella on the pre-match. Just exciting to be a Spurs fan right now, and it most certainly is. But look, let's get into the predicted lineup, and let's start off talking about the team news, because Ange Postecoglou has been speaking in his pre-match press conference, but there is no new injury news to note. But what is the injury news?
Yeah, the only thing is Lo Celso, who's back in training, but is probably not fit enough to make the squad for this weekend. He's out. Gil and Sessegnon still remain unavailable. But interesting comments on Rodrigo Bentancur, he had to say, actually. And obviously, he was pictured training with the first team yesterday for a bit of the training session, and he said on Bentancur, rehab is the toughest bit. You talk to any player, it's not just the work but the solitary element of it. He was buzzing yesterday, and it was good for him to be involved. Fair to say, he's got a fair bit of work to do, and great to have him involved. He was dejected, of course, when we had to pull him out after half an hour, which was always the plan. So look, baby steps on the moment for Rodrigo Bentancur, coming back from a very serious injury. Seems as though he is getting back to more time on the pitch with the team, but it's still a fair bit of time away from actually full team training. So but glad to see him kind of making those steps towards full fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to see the midfield get no injuries by the time he comes back as well, because it'll mean that we'll have a fully fit midfield, and I can't wait to see that kind of trifecta of Maddison next to Bentancur with Bissouma behind them. I think it's going to be magical, that midfield. I really do. But in terms of the predicted lineup, we're going for a 4-3-3 formation as per usual. And in goal will be Vicario, who did get called up for the Italian team but saw no minutes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fairly quiet day, I reckon, for Vicario. I wouldn't even be shocked if Sheffield United failed to get a shot on target in this game, in my opinion, because of the control I predict us to have. So I think it's going to be important, potentially a bit of sweeper keeping if they go long to Cameron Archer on the counter-attack, but I anticipate a quiet day for him.
In terms of the right-back toss-up between Porro and Emerson, seeing as Porro does have the shirt at the moment, we're going to stick with him, and there's no reason to take him out of the team because I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think as well, him even more in this game is going to be vital when he picks up the ball in the deep areas or out wide with his quality delivery. We just need that incisive quality that he brings on that right back spot, especially against a low block. So I think Porro has to start.
Next to him at right centre-back, we did have a scare on international duty with Argentina with that ankles it did look like an injury. I don't know how he's not injured from that, to be honest, but he's fine. He's been training and he will be starting tomorrow, and that is Cuti Romero.
Yeah, fantastic news that he's available. He saw him in training yesterday as well. It looked like a really bad challenge. Obviously, it ended up in a red card for the Bolivian player, but fantastic news he's available. And I think it's going to be, I wouldn't say he's like crucial for this specific game, but it's just good to have him and continue that partnership with Van de Ven.
Spoilers. So there you go. On the left-hand side of the defence, it will be Mickey van der Ven, who also got called up for the first time to the Dutch team, where he didn't see any minutes, wasn't in the squad for the first game and was on the bench for the second game. So a nice little rest for Mickey van der Ven during international break.
And I'm sure he'll be itching to get back on the pitch as well, which is, and maybe prove to the national team manager the next time he gets called up, he needs to be starting, because he's had a great start to the season. I'm happy that he hasn't played a minute in internationals, so he could be fresh for Spurs. So happy days.
And then to make up that back four on the left-hand side is going to be a Destiny Udogie, who as well has been absolutely brilliant so far this season. And I feel like he's one of those players, if he gets injured, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, obviously he pulled out the under-21s with a fever, didn't he? So I think in the first week of the break, and in a way it's probably played into Tottenham's hands, because it means he's pulled out the squad and hasn't played any games, and he's fit and available for Spurs. So that's really good news that he's going to be back and available, and he's been a massive part as well. And he's also, I think, having him in the team in this game to help break down that Sheffield United team is going to be crucial. So he has to get the nod.
So let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. It's Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van de Ven, and Udogie as our defence. And I got a feeling like the impetus on Udogie and Porro to go forward as opposed to going back should be a much more importance of this game. But looking at the number 6 in the midfield is going to be Yves Bissouma, who was pretty much very unlucky to miss out in the nominations for Player of the Month. But hopefully that will just make him work harder and make him get into it next month.
And did one of the best assists you'll ever likely see in international break. As well. Brilliant to see.
What an assist.
Dubs the keeper twice, and then was able to lay it on a plate for a teammate as well. Absolutely brilliant stuff from him. Can't wait to see him back on the pitch. One of the most creative defensive mids in terms of his dribbling ability I've seen. He's so enjoyable to watch. He's full of confidence. Postecoglou talking about him being, he wants him to be a bit more of a leader in the group as well, which is lovely to see. So yeah, he has to start in this game.
And then alongside him in midfield, the first player we're going to talk about on the right-hand side will be Pape Matar Sarr, who also is having a brilliant season so far. One of maybe outside of the Spurs would be saying one of the surprises of the season so far, how good he's actually been and how involved in the attacking play in terms of his goal contributions he's been already. Yeah,
and actually, if you look at the stats, I've been looking at some of the underlying stats of Sarr, and if you look at just midfielders in a chart who've got combined expected assists and expected goals, like for centre mids, he's like near the top for a midfielder who has really high both. So he's performing really well. Obviously, he couples that ability on the ball with his amazing willingness to run the whole game and good defensive stats as well. He's looked like he could be a very good all-round midfielder. Still needs to he's still a bit rough around the edges, I feel, Sarr, but I feel like he's developing into a really top midfielder, and he's still only 20 years of age, and to be this good at this age is so exciting. And he has to start again.
Yeah, I think you're right in what you're saying about rough around the edges. But I mean, you cast your mind back to last season when we saw him. He's a lot less rough around the edges than what we saw from last season, isn't he? And I think he is really growing and maturing into a really top player. And I think for him to hold his own in the Premier League week in, week out, 4 games in a row now, or 3 games in a row because he didn't play the first game, I think is really special for a player of his age in the centre of midfield in the Premier League, looking like one of the stars of the Premier League.
Just imagine when he's like 25 and he's a bit more mature and he's confident in himself. I think he's going to be the star.
And then to make up that midfield three will be our player of the month, James Maddison. I say our player of the month, the Premier League player of the month, James Maddison.
Yeah, he's going to be crucial. I think he's the key in this game if we're going to make it an easy game for ourselves, or if it's going to be a big struggle. If he can basically get either a free kick or a shot from outside the box and help unlock that Sheffield United defence, or even just like a killer pass from a deep position with his delivery and ability to see passes, I think that is going to be the key. I think if they're clever, Sheffield United, they just make sure that Maddison's on lockdown and not creating anything, and that's going to go a long way to stifling us. But if he can get some joy in and around the penalty box, then it could be a case of being a much easier day if he can get any luck.
All right, so that's a midfield three of Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison. On the right-hand side, are we going to see a debut for Brennan Johnson? I don't think so. I think Dejan Kulusevski will come straight back in to the right-hand side of the attack. And there's been some stats going around about Kulusevski. I think he's run the most. He's ran the most out of anyone in the Premier League so far this season. For me, I think his quality on the ball has been lacking a little bit, but I'm liking the way he is taking on his man. I just feel like after he takes on his man, it's just a bit of a source of frustration for me. So I'd like to see him take that to the next level like we saw when he first came to Spurs.
He's had a good international break, though.
Yeah, really good.
A goal, 2 assists and a goal,
yeah.
I think, during the internationals.
He got man of the match in the first game, and second game he was Sweden's best player in a 3-1 defeat. And
I think got 5 key passes in the second game. So he's playing well. For me, I've been pretty happy with the start to the season. I think in this kind of game as well, I think he's got a bit more of the incisiveness than Brendan Johnson does. Although Johnson has a bit obviously on the speed on Kulusevski, but I think Kulusevski is going to be the one to kind of pick the lock, which we need. So I think he has to be in the team.
Up front is obviously, well, not obviously, but we're going to go for Heung-min Son because he got a hat-trick in the last game, in the first game that he played as the number 9 in this system. And Richarlison, to be fair, has gone away to Brazil and not had great games once again. But worrying kind of comments coming out from him suffering psychological problems and stuff like that. So we hope he can get the help and get back to full fitness as soon as possible. But we do expect him to be in the squad.
Yeah, I think he'll be available, but I think Son has to get the nod after that performance. I do anticipate him having a lot more difficulty in this game compared to the Burnley game, to getting the same amount of space and the centre backs being a lot closer to him, and as well the fact that they're going to be playing against the back three will naturally make it more difficult as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he copes with that, a different kind of challenge, especially in the number 9 position. I hope that he does drop deeper and goes for more long range efforts, because we just know how deadly he is from range. And we need to make use of that tool, because I don't really see him getting too much joy in terms of his ability to run in behind in this game, because I think the space is going to be restricted. But I think it's a good challenge for him to see how he can cope in this kind of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to make up that final 11 on the left-hand side, we are going to go for Manor Solomon. Had a really strong game up at Burnley a couple of weeks ago, and let's hope he can just follow on from that now.
Yeah, again, I feel like maybe Perisic potentially is more suited to this game, but I think you have to start Solomon just off the back of a really strong performance against Burnley last time out. Again, with the lack of space, also Solomon has a good long shot as well, cutting in from the left-hand side, able to whip it to the far corner. I think he's going to have to try and make use of that ability. He has to do that in this kind of game if we're going to help break down the Sheffield United team. Again, he got 2 assists against Burnley. I still think he can be more creative when it comes to his ability to create chances for others and his crosses in the box. And I don't think he's going to get the same space he got against Burnley, but I think his ability to shoot from range should also help us in this game. So I think he gets another start. So
let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. So Vicario in goal, Pedro Porro right back, Destiny Udogie left back with Kuti and Mickey as the centre back options. Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison make up the midfield 3 with Deki, Manor supporting Heung-min Son in the front line. So a completely unchanged lineup from the battering we went up to that we gave Burnley a couple of weeks ago. And I think all these players are on really good form at the moment, so it's really hard to take any of them out of the team, to be fair. But it'll be interesting to see if we are struggling towards the latter stages of the game. Does he go with Richarlison? Does he go with Alejo Valiz? Does Brennan Johnson get a chance as well? But in terms of the game, are you sticking 3-0?
3-0. 100%.
Yeah, me as well. I'm going 3-0 as well, but I want to know your score predictions and your predicted lineups in the comments section below. And that is your predicted lineup for the Sheffield United game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3 p.m. kickoff tomorrow. What are we saying about guests?
If you want to come on and have your say about anything we've discussed today or anything Tottenham related, the link is in the community section for all our gold members. If you want to come on and have your say, so come on, join the link and have your say. But in terms of Richarlison, there obviously is a lot of talk about it at the moment. You obviously alluded to it. Do you think Ange has to kind of just do what's best for the team, or is it best for the team right now to have Son in that position in this kind of game? Or would it be best to, against a low block, to have someone like Richarlison in there, albeit maybe his performances and his mental state might be the reason to not play him?
I think like you always got to do what's best for the team, in my opinion. And I think with the problems that Richarlison is going through at the moment, I think he needs to get his head right before anything else. And I kind of feel like it might not even be fair to play him, to be honest, if his head's not right. Because if his head's not right, his performance ain't going to be right. And it's not good for anyone. It's not good for him. It's not good for us. And he's been very brave about the situation, come out publicly and said he wants to seek help and he wants to get help. He wants to get better in terms of his mental health. So I think we need to give him the time to do that. I don't think it's going to happen straight away. So I feel like Richarlison probably is the best option for us in terms of just what he gives to the team and what his attributes are. But having said that, I would stick with Son because of everything surrounding Richarlison at the moment. Yeah,
I kind of agree. As much as I think Richarlison is technically or tactically a better fit for this game, I do think that I think Son, especially after getting a hat-trick last week, I think you just got to stick with him and kind of see how he can take on this challenge. I think just from that point of view as well, if we see Son as a number 9, he's going to have to come up against teams in low blocks and sometimes. And this is a good challenge for him. It's a good litmus test to see how he can perform against these kind of opposition. So I also think that, yes, logically you can say Richarlison's more physical and he's better in the air and things like that, so he might be a better fit. But also I want to see how, I don't want to just not give Son a chance against these kind of oppositions. I want to see how he performs against this kind of opposition as well and see it as a challenge for him. Postecoglou was asked in terms of Lloris, where he sees Lloris in the pecking order this season. He says, "You're assuming there is a pecking order, mate. He's a player. He's a Tottenham player. He's training every day and he's available like everyone else. Nothing has changed from now to last week or the week before. The reason people play is because I believe that they've got to get us to where I want to get us to. The ones who are part of the squad are there because their work has got them in that position. The ones who aren't in the squad need to work hard to get it and wait for their opportunity. There's no pecking order, mate. There's no chicken coop. There's no farm animals. We're just working. We're just working away."
I love Ange. I love Ange so much. He just his press conferences are the best. Completely the best, no?
Yeah, 100%.
But in terms of Hugo Lloris, I mean, I always thought we've been having this conversation for the last couple of days. Does Hugo Lloris come in as backup now? Now he's stayed, and I think the answer should be yes. I don't think it matters what's happened over the summer about him trying to move and him not moving, Fraser Forster thinking he's second choice. I think you've got to put whoever the best keeper is as a second choice, and that's Lloris.
Yeah, but has he been training with the team? Has he been focused on has he been focused on leaving? So I need to know where Lloris's head is at first before you put him straight in. I think Lloris is the better keeper, don't get me wrong, but I think it might take a few weeks for him to be considered as a backup. I don't know if you put him in straight away because he spent the whole summer trying to leave. So is it does he know that is he very up to date with how we want to play, how he wants his keepers to play, what he expects from them, all these kind of things? Forster's been part of the squad and part of the training every way, very invested in it. Maybe Lloris has been training, but is his head being engaged? You know what I mean? Has he been very focused on what we want to do? I don't know that. Obviously,
no, you don't. But that's up for Ange to decide, isn't it?
So I'm just saying, I would doubt that it would be in that situation, in my opinion, right now. So I would anticipate Forster being on the bench tomorrow. But maybe in a couple of weeks' time, if once, Lloris has, been in training.
He's a professional at the end of the day, Hugo Lloris.
But he didn't go on the preseason tour. He stayed home because he wanted to look for a move. So I don't know what the situation is with him right now. Like, is he fully engaged with the project and everything? Because I know he's a professional, and I'm sure that once he's now got his future sorted, which is now, like, he knows he's part of Tottenham for this season. So I have no doubt that now he knows he's a Tottenham player, so he's going to be fully bought into what we're trying to do, and he's going to be fully engaged. But up until this point, I wouldn't know if that's the situation or not.
Yeah,
so I'd assume that Forster will still be back up until Lloris can show that he's now part of the squad. I
don't know if we can comment on that situation because we're not behind closed doors. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
He wasn't part of the preseason squad.
Yeah, we know that. That's the only thing we know, but we don't know what he's been like behind the scenes. Has he been taking up a mentor role? Has he been still a good guy to have around the back room as well? We don't know any of that. We don't know if he's invested. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. All we know is that Lloris is a better goalkeeper than Fraser Forster, and it's up to Ange to say if he's if those things that you're talking about are relevant or not. And we don't know if they are or they're not.
They might or they might not be. I'm just trying to look at it from Lloris's eyes. I'm trying to put myself in Lloris's situation, and I would assume that up until the end of the transfer window, he's probably more focused on trying to leave than focusing on what Ange is doing at Tottenham. That's what I would assume. And if that's the case, he needs to now his future sorted. Now I think his focus is probably going to switch from trying to move to what Ange is doing. And now the focus has switched. Now he become more integrated into the team. But I think until these fully integrated, I think Forster probably remains number 2.
But I know it's like a different situation, but Pierre-Emile Højbjerg was trying to leave. I know he went on the tour and played minutes and stuff like that, but he was trying to leave. We were actively trying to sell him, and he was still playing minutes. He started the cup game, albeit a very terrible performance, and he's come on the Premier League games as well. So, I mean, I kind of get the feeling that, especially with Lloris, he's been here for so long. He's part of the furniture. If he's still here, I think he'll be committed to the cause, and I'm
not doubting that. And I'm saying I think it's just going to take a couple of weeks before I don't think tomorrow he's on the bench, is what I'm saying.
But it has been a couple of weeks since the end of the window now.
Yeah, potentially, but maybe they've had those conversations. I reckon that tomorrow Forster's on the bench. That's my prediction.
All right, well, let's go to the callers, guys. And you know how it goes. Here's Bobby K. Here's Bobby K. Here's Bobby K. Yes, Bobby.
It's Bobby K.
That's it. That's all I called for. Thanks, guys. Really good to see you. Have a great day,
okay? How are we doing, my brother?
I'm well. Always well, my boys. How are you? Long time no chat. Long time no see. How are you guys doing? How are your families?
Yeah, everyone is good, my friend. Everyone is good. And I think Ange-Ball has really lifted the spirits and lifted the mood for everyone. So how's it going your end?
Awesome. And it's exactly what you said. Ben, Sim, I don't know if you noticed, but towards the end of the season, I kind of trickled away from YouTube because I got to the point where I didn't even want to talk about Tottenham, more or less watch them. Here we are now having a 2-week international break, and we're all chomping at the bit, waiting for football to start again. So it's so refreshing to have that exciting feeling and have something to look forward to, because football is a big part of a lot of people's lives. It brings them joy. God knows it brings us misery, but it's nice to see that it's finally bringing us some joy, and really, really looking forward to getting back out there and watching the boys play and just actually put an effort in. Just finally seeing guys that look like they want to play football and enjoy their football. They're playing with a smile. It seems that we look likely got through the international break pretty much unscathed. There were some scares with Romero and Sonny there, and obviously the Richie thing is a whole kind of different injury. That's more of a mental thing, so can't really gauge that to international break. There's something been going on beforehand, but I think we're doing okay. How you boys feeling? You excited for tomorrow? You going to the game?
Yeah, I'm going to the game, and I'm very much excited. I mean, only the second. I mean, we've been going for four games now, 5 games if you include the cup, and this is the second home game of the season, which is crazy to think about. But when you're looking at this game, Sheffield United, a very hard team to break down. Are you pretty confident coming into it?
Nope.
Okay, tell me why.
No, I watched the Man City Sheffield game a few weeks ago. And I was actually surprised how organized and how well they played and how tight they are at the back. And for a team like City to have a bit of an issue with them, was surprised really to see that, and it makes me wonder how we're going to break them down. But I think also what it is that we've been pessimistic for so many years that it's kind of hard to go full on the Ange train and jump on the woo, yeah, we're going to win every game, we're going to be invincibles and stuff, for as much as I'd like to.
It's not hard for me, Bobby.
It's not that it's hard. It's everybody wants to, of course. I think I'm older than you, so I'm more pessimistic. I'm more of a jerk than you are. See, you haven't been married as long. You're not as jaded as I am yet. So yeah, it'll take time. Come back in a few years, all right? But no, I think I don't think it's going to be a walkover. I do think I see us getting the 3 points, but I think it's going to be like a 2-1, maybe a 3-1. I don't think it's going to be a 5-0, 6-0 blowout like some people are hoping for. I hope it is, because if we could do that against a team like Sheffield, a team that Man City had a problem breaking down, then that just gives me even more to look forward to. It gives us all as fans really, really something to look on. Hold on a second. These guys barely scrape by them, and we're thrashing the teams that we're supposed to be. That's been one of our biggest issues over the years, is not getting the points where we're supposed to get the points. We've consistently dropped them. We've had issues, poor performances, bad tactics, poor player performance, lack of energy, lack of effort. And it seems like we kind of all knew that this was going to come under Ange, that there's going to be a revolution. But I don't think any of us expected for it to be this quick and this exciting and this promising and this enlightening, really. I'm blown away right now with what I'm seeing. I'm so excited to just get up tomorrow. Even Big Jay woke up and watched the game. A teenager that doesn't wake up to the crack of 3 p.m.
Bobby,
man.
Looking at the lineup tomorrow, are you going unchanged from the Burnley game? Like just same lineup, or do you think maybe some changes are required for this one?
I don't think there's anything really to change. Defensively, we're pretty down pat there. Maybe Emerson comes in to hold. I think the combination is going to be Emerson comes in if Johnson's playing to give that defensive cover, and if Poro's playing, Kulu is there because Kulu holds up the ball and gives Poro the ability to kind of run up with him and get in the attack, and then can hold it up long enough to get the defense, give them the opportunity to get back and defend as well. With Johnson there, I think you've got way too much pace almost. It's as crazy as that sounds. You're going to have two players bombing all the way up there and trying to get into attacking positions. And I wonder if it'll be kind of like a Perisic-Sonny thing then, where you have two players trying to occupy the same space. So that's my only concern there, really. How it plays out, we don't know. But I'd love to see the same starting 11. I'd love to see Johnson come on and get a few minutes and get us excited. I want to see this kid run. I didn't know anything about him until I started watching a few highlights at Forest there, and the kids bringing me highlight stuff. But highlights and putting on a new kit and playing for a new manager, playing in front of new fans, playing in a new environment, even though it's still England, is a challenge to anybody. So let's hope this kid steps up to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can bring. If it can be like, if he could slot in the way Van de Ven is slotted in, that'll be magic for us. That'll be just beautiful. The way Basuma stepped up, and just what a revolution we're having with some of these players behind everything. It's just absolutely fantastic.
Long may it continue, Bobby K. We were just having a debate or a discussion of who should be the second choice keeper. Now Hugo Lloris has stayed at the club. What's your opinion on the matter?
He's got to go. I think we as fans need to put but we got to figure out a way to get rid of him in January. We got to buy out his contract or something. The fact that he is our former club captain and he still carries influence. He's part of the old regime. He pretty much threw in the towel at the end of last season. To me, he gave up. And I don't want players that give up, that don't seem to want to play for the badge, that have no commitment. There's lack of energy. There's just it just creates bad juju all around, man. This guy could potentially be a black cloud. He can start putting poison in youngsters' ears. He can get into Vicario's head. You are here only because you rejected contracts. Options were presented to you. It's not like nobody came in for you and nothing was done. You turned around and said, I can't go to Nice because I don't want to hamper the development of a young player there, but you're willing to stay here and do it. That makes me question,
who's he hampering? Who's he hampering by staying here?
That's what I'm saying. If he's going to get in Vicario's way here, he's saying he doesn't want to go do that at Nice but he's willing to stay here and do it with Vicario. But you're just sitting off to the sidelines. So that's the same thing you would have been doing had you gone back home to Nice. So I don't get what he was trying to say there and how he's trying to justify that that's reasoning for him to stay, because it's just smokescreen nonsense, really. I think he's happy. I think him, the likes of Dyer, they've been here so long. It's a comfort zone thing. It's not even about playing anymore. It's that you're getting a certain amount of money for just showing up. And over the last few years, there's less and less expectation on you to deliver. So to collect your paycheck and earn your paycheck is essentially getting easier. Why would you want to have it's like somebody, you guys call it the dole over there, right? When government is giving you money.
Yeah.
Well, when you're just getting free money, how inspired are you to go out there and work for that same money?
But you don't think with someone that's been ingrained in Spurs, been the captain for so long, that he has a big affinity with the club, and then he could be a good like mentor or a coach even behind the scenes to younger players coming up?
Yeah, 100%. But if that's what the agenda was from the beginning, right from towards the end of last season, it was made very clear that he is not going to be part of the future plans. This was before Ange was in, before all this was sorted. So this had nothing to do with manager was going to come in, what direction the club was going to go in, what was going to be happening with the club, what our vision is. Before that, it was kind of already decided that he will not be a part of it, regardless of whatever it is. Now, I don't understand if he's not complaining about the fact that he's not going to play. He's not complaining about the fact that might not even get a crack to play in a couple of the odd cup game or something like that. We've only got the one to worry about now, the FA Cup. I don't want to see him play in that. I don't think you guys do either. So if we know we don't really want him here, he's kind of made it very clear that he's not going to put in any effort towards being here. I just don't understand why we're keeping players like that around. I get that you need to fill the squad numbers and stuff, but you still got which one of the kids is out on loan? Austin or Whiteman?
No, they're both here.
They're both still here? Okay, I thought one had gone out alone. So then if that's the case, why do we have 4 goalies?
We've got 5.
Hold on, I'm Indian. My math should be better. Okay.
I don't understand why we got 5 goalkeepers, but look, it is what it is. I don't think it's going to cause too much of a me personally, I don't think it's going to cause too much of a problem. And I think if it was causing a problem, then Ange would have dealt with it and tried to get him out, or even spoke with Levy to try cancel that contract. But having said that, I do think Dyer could be a source of problems, and he hasn't done that with him. So that kind of ruins my argument.
Well, the issue is, though, when you look at it, if I'm sitting here and I've come in as a youngster and I'm sitting there making $20K a week and I'm looking across the room and I'm looking at a guy making $100K a week for doing absolutely nothing, eventually that's going to get in your head. It's like you two showing up to work every day. Ben showing up 20 minutes early, putting in the time, everything. Sim just kind of strolls in right before you start and everything. It's going to eat away at you.
You've called it down to a T, Bobby. You've called it down to a T.
Oh, here. I'll flip it. It's not fair. Like, poor Sim is stuck in the studio all the time while Ben's in the stands with Ashley cheering on the game.
You called it down to a T
ladies and gentlemen, that's how you stir the pot. We are Thank you and good night.
But I think the younger players will look up to Hugo Lloris and look up to what he's done at this football club and done in the game in general.
If that was his agenda kind of from the beginning, to me, just as a fan, now of course I'm just going on what other content creators have spoken about, what we've seen in the media and whatnot. That being said, to me it kind of looked like he was checked out, that he did not want to even be here. So
yeah, but I think that was the case for plenty of the players last season, not just him.
Yeah, well, under Conte. So do you think maybe it's possible that he's been rejuvenated with seeing Ange show up and bring the refreshed attitude that we badly needed? That stale air is gone.
I mean, I think look, he's going into his last year of his contract. We know this time next year he won't be here. He knows this time next year he won't be here. He won't have a contract. He's not going to get another contract. But I feel like he does love the club. I feel that he's been here for so many years and been the captain for so many years. He's got to have that affinity with the club. And I feel like behind the scenes he can be a good mentor to other players, especially the younger ones coming up.
Well, you can't deny that. You know, if he's willing to do that, though, we're talking about a World Cup winner.
Yeah.
You know, this guy has experience at the highest level, at the most intense competition that football has to offer. So yes, he will have that experience to pass on. He will have knowledge to pass on. Is he willing to? That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
You know, if I see him all of a sudden, you look at training videos, you know, you guys are privy to a lot more than we are over here, but you guys get all these wicked training videos right on the ground. If I see him standing on the back line and he's got his arm around Vicario and I see him pointing out things, giving him direction of some sort, then I can say, all right, good. This guy is clearly willing to make him a better player and cares about the club because he wants to improve the club through its players, which is what happens, really, right?
What do you think in terms of like the Richarlison situation? He's obviously opened up for me quite bravely about his struggles with mental health problems, and he's going to get seen by someone when he's back in England. Obviously, in theory, when you think about the game this weekend, how Sheffield United set up, you could think potentially Richarlison might be a better tactical fit than Son in that number 9 role. But do you just think Son, after scoring a hat-trick, he has to take the nod, or does the problem with Richarlison kind of go into your thinking when it comes to team selection? How do you think of the situation?
Well, just because of numbers here, Sim, we're at the point where we don't really have a choice with dropping Richie. That's not an option. He has to be either on the bench or starting. Those are the only two areas that really, because we're just lack of numbers in that department. I would like to stick with the same original lineup against Burnley because I thought it was effective. Not to knock Richie's play or anything like that, but now on top of this, on top of his poor play and poor performances, he's coming out and letting us know about a personal issue that he's dealing with, and he's got a mental health issue. If it's off the field, on the field, I don't know. He's a young kid. I just hope he can get it worked out. I think right now is the time that this kid is coming off being berated and just looked upon as this piece of garbage by the likes of Conte. And I think Ange is the kind of guy that will really be able to relift his spirits, kind of put his arm around him and remind him that you might not be Harry Kane level, but you do have something to offer, and you can, even if this guy can get us 10 goals, you know, it helps contribute towards the goals that we've lost from Harry Kane. So that's all I'm really hoping for Richie. I think right now as it stands, he should be rested this game, maybe come on as a sub later on. If he looks hungry, it comes down to Ange and what he sees in the pregame warm-up and the training beforehand to see if this guy's come out there with his full heart, his desire. You know, some people have mental health issues, and what they do is turn around and they put it into something, in some form of a project, right? They'll put that energy that's becoming negative energy into something, so, or they fall apart. So I'm hoping he's able to take whatever that bad energy is in him and put it into his football, and he can do something, right? It's just, you know me, guys. I'm always optimistic. You know, if you're wearing our badge, you're wearing our shirt, I'm gonna get behind you regardless. My son's a psycho. He supports Dyer. You know, so my family's a little bit diluted. We're Canadian, I know, but what do we do, right? But in terms of Richie, I just really hope he can work himself out, because when he came in, a lot of people just forget the fee end of it. You know, we overpaid for him, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It's not my money. It's not your money. I don't really care. We needed a player that fit that kind of slot. We got him in. Scouting department got it wrong. Maybe that can be argued. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to get behind this kid. I think he has something to offer. And the fact that he's just a little wind-up artist, and he's not doing that right now, should be a telltale of there's something clearly going on with the kid. And I just hope he can get back to being a right little shit, especially by next week.
Yeah, next week it's going to be vital for him to start playing up like that. But Bobby, go on? You want to say something?
No, I just wanted to ask you guys, like, how do you think? I'm just going to be just basically yes or no. Do you think this guy has the ability to even pot 10 or 15 for us, if God willing he comes back mentally stronger?
Yeah, I do. I think he can get up to 15 goal contributions, including goals and assists this season. I think that's well within his grasp, if not more. If he's at full fitness, if his mind's right, and if he's going in the right direction, 100%. I don't see a reason why not. Especially in an Ange system as a number 9.
Yeah. Sim?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. Why not? I think he's a good striker. I think he's been a good Premier League striker down the years, but I think he's going through a really tough period right now. And I think if he can get through it, I think he can. I really believe so.
And follow up to that then, boys. Do you think Conte broke him?
Did Conte break him?
I like Conte, that synchronized.
He broke the club, I think.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Look, I don't know if Conte broke him, but he sure didn't help him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, playing him in every different position, never giving a proper run in the team, like, how's anyone supposed to get a rhythm like that? Especially when you hear the news that Son was injured the whole year and he was playing through injury when Richarlison was just sitting there, essentially. Like, it didn't help him at all.
No. So, well, then you look at what he did with Bissouma. You pretty much caged a tiger that has been unleashed now, and it's just been absolutely wonderful for us to watch, you know? So that's been a bonus as well. Now, I know you guys got to get on to the next guest. I'll just quickly ask you guys, who do you think is going to be, come the end of the season, the biggest addition? I know everybody's pointing at Maddison just because he's contributed. For me, it's Mickey right now because I think what he's brought to that back line is something we've desperately needed.
But Bobby, there's so many. There's Mickey van der Ven. There's a resurgent Cuti Romero as well. There's wanna dance with a doggy. I think a doggy is unbelievable. Him on the left is going to be incredible. I think Porro's stepped it up a level. Bissouma, obviously, like we said, the shackles are completely off. Maddison, like you've correctly said. I think Manor Solomon was showing his worth last game. Sonny in the number 9. I mean, look, I can keep going on about all of them. They've all
the whole team.
Exactly, and that's the beautiful thing about it, because it's not just about one player anymore. It's about that whole team.
You know, it's funny. I love the excitement in your voice when you just started having that conversation. The energy level that just, last year we tried to have this conversation. It would have been the opposite. It's like, okay, so who was our worst player today? Well, this guy was crap. That guy was crap. They're all crap, and Conte's crap, and yeah, that's it. What about Sim? What about you? You think any one player is going to stand out, or you think it's going to be a combination? And you're going to take the cop-out answer?
It is going to be a combination, but I'm going to go Bissouma. I think he'll be our most important player come the end of the season. I think he's like 2 players in one, Bissouma, and that's what we need to make this system as functional as possible. He's like a line breaker when it comes to his dribbling, and then defensively as well. He's so crucial with his ability to get tackles, interceptions. I think our team isn't anywhere near as functional without Bissouma. I think he's actually the most crucial player in the team, in my opinion. So I'm going to go for him.
Wow, from bench warmer to the last 2 managers, and not even being rated, to being the man of the match pretty much every time. And there it is, boys.
Bobby, enough. Let me ask you a question now. What's your score prediction for the game? What's the score going to be?
I'm going to go 2-1. I know it's a bit low.
2-1?
I just think that they're going to be harder to break down than we think. I think it's going to be one of the two. I think it's going to be a 5-0 or a 2-1. I think they're going to be a real pain in the ass to break down, and we're not going to get anywhere. And the first half is going to be really, really crappy, boring watch, and it's going to be very defensive, boring football. Or we're going to get that first or second early goal and force them to come out. And if that happens, then I can see us lighting it up. So just because you guys are so frigging enthusiastic, screw that. 5-0 it is. 5-0 it is. Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
He's finally got the memo. Ange-Ball is back. Come on, Bobby.
And just one quick one before I go for you guys. There's a guy named Bradley in the States that made this up. And for you, Doggy, it's you, doggy, dog.
The bomb.
I love that.
Love that, Bobby. Thank you so much for coming on today. Good to chat, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Have a great day, guys.
You too, my friend. You too.
Always great to see you.
And let's go on to the next guest. It looks like he's frozen, actually.
Is he frozen, or is he just statuesque?
No, it's definitely frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. Anyone? Wasn't there someone else? 6 yard? Is his 6 yard box gone? Oh, shame.
All right, I guess that is going to bring an end to the show then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. That is our Sheffield United match preview. I want to know how hyped you are going into the game. Let us know in the comment section below and let us know your score predictions. We'll see you all very soon. Sim is in the studio tomorrow with our very own Brian Daigle. I'll be in the stadium getting all the action from inside there. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.